Hi, this is Toumas Saukkonen from Finnish melodic death metal band WOLFHEART, and you are listening to the Bloodshed with the Vampire on Metal Messiah Radio International. And I'd like to congratulate Metal Messiah Radio with its 13th anniversary.
Thomas, it's a great pleasure to have you here at the Matter Bloodshed with the Vampire on Metal Messiah Radio International.
Yeah, it is.
Thomas, you as the master brain, behind different great, fantastic bands like Before the Dawn of the Final Harvest, SUN AEON, and Dawn of Solace. Yes, in 2013, you had this announcement saying that it's the end of all these bands for you to have the chance to concentrate on only, at that time, your new band, WOLFHEART. How of a hard of decision was this, Thomas, for you to put an end to these bands? Was there any other way around?
To me, it was really easy and simple. It had to be a lot more complicated thing for the fans to understand because one announcement killing 4 bands at the same time. But for me, I was building that decision inside of me for a few years already. When it was time to make the decision, it was more like a relief to just to get the information out and start from clean slate. So to me, it was very, very simple. There were so many questions from the fans, and I had to explain that. I'm still talking about that, which I do understand because that it was a big decision to make, but it was bigger probably for the fans than to me.
I know. I remember that announcement. I remember still that day, Thomas. I'm among those fans that was really sad after have heard your announcement, believe me.
Yeah, there was a lot of explaining for me after that announcement, yeah.
Yeah, talking about these bands, I mean, that you have put on ice or you have put them to rest. One of them, after 13 long years, has come back to life. I'm talking about Dawn of Solace, which saw the light last January 24, 2020 via Noble Demon, the album Waves, with outstanding tunes like Ashes, Lead Wings, and Hiding, to mention some. Seeking that you has brought back to life this band, Dawn of Solace. Could we expect the same for perhaps Before the Dawn or SUN AEON?
Yeah, in a way. It's been weird times, which has led to weird decisions and weird negotiation with certain labels that were actually releasing SUN AEON and Before the Dawn. And those negotiations probably will result to some re-releases of the older albums and some new songs to highlight those releases. So it's not going to be like a comeback, more like short zombie moment for each band, because this whole pandemic allows things to go differently. There's going to be a new song from Before the Dawn, probably some streaming events also. There's going to be re-releases at least from SUN AEON 2. Maybe something new. We'll see what happens. It's been in the works for several months now, so.
Okay, very great to hear that, Thomas. I mean, at least that's better than nothing.
It is. I do really enjoy that, like this, when everything went to complete stop just a year ago. We lost now about 200 gigs with WOLFHEART already. That's not just the career of the band, but I lost 250 travel days. I've just been sitting at home, so at least this was a great opportunity to look back on my career with the albums that I still love, with the bands I still love, and having those labels come to work together after this long pause. That will kind of it will give a really nice, like a silver lining with everything that happened back in the day. So it's nostalgic thing and doing something new with the guys that I used to work like 15 years ago. It will complete certain circle really well. We get to go back to those times. Things have changed. People have changed. I think this will make those memories from those early years a lot better even. So at least something good is coming out from the pandemic. This would have never happened if we would have been going with the regular touring with WOLFHEART. I never would have had time or energy to even think about it. But now, at least something good is coming.
Well, I want to thank you very much, for this great news. Continue talking about these bands. Yes, Dawn of Solace. This album released last year through this German Noble Demon with Patrick Walsh. How was your experience working with them?
Super easy. Patrick used to handle digital marketing and releasing of the last 2 Before the Dawn albums when he was working in Nuclear Blast. So we already knew each other that way. And I saw the news when he quit the Nuclear Blast and started his other company, Circuit Music, providing digital promotion and release services for bands. And I was already talking with him at that point about future cooperation because I knew that he's one of the toughest professionals in the field, at least in Europe. So we already started talking before they had the Noble Demon running. So it's been super smooth. Again, like going back in the timeline a little bit and just working again with an old friend. So it's a very ideal situation.
How do you believe that the album, talking about Waves, has been received, Thomas?
It's been really surprising for me how well it's been received with the fans and the media, because there is quite a big change in the sound and the production overall, and also in the music, because I didn't want to do my vocals like I did on the debut album back in the days. Now Mikko is leading completely with the clean vocals. I did try to capture the same mood, but there was clear decisions production-wise that I wanted to avoid from the debut album, but it still is received really well.
Very great. Okay, to what we hear for WOLFHEART. You have released the first album, Winterborn, that was back in 2013, with songs like Honk, Chasm, and more. Great albums, Thomas. I remember Shadows World, that was back in 2015, Tiegjuus back in 2017, and the Constellation of the Blacklight back in 2018. Yes, last 2020, April, you guys have returned with a masterpiece, I must say, Wolves of Karelia, this concept album, talking about winter war, released with Napalm Records. Thomas, how was this release gone received by fans, by critics, especially released in the middle of this pandemic?
It was weird release because past 15 albums I released in general, always when the album comes out, you get to tour, you go on gigs, you do the festivals, you see the fans. That's a huge part of the promotion. It's not just something that the musicians enjoy to do, but it's a huge part of the release and the music business side. And everything started to fall apart while we were still doing the pre-order campaigns. That took away all the excitement of the release, because every week there was more and more bad news, like trying to promote an album that is coming out, and then you hear the news that there are certain countries in Europe, for example, that people are not going to be able to go to the record store to buy the album. There's going to be lockdowns. Our North American tour got cancelled 1 week before we were supposed to fly. For a short while, that made quite a huge financial problems also. Every day was certain new obstacle, and completely opposite that usually, because usually you are just waiting, counting days when the album is out, you're doing the interviews, you're doing the promo, and then you know you're going to get to tour, you get to play the songs. There's nothing like this been happening before. So now it was just stress and uncertainty and frustration, and it was really weird.
Especially releasing this album in the middle of a pandemic, but releasing it with a new label as well. What was your thought about this?
We did have a few meetings about schedule, that would it be better to postpone the release, but I have some friends in the Finnish military that are very professional and high rank. They told me what pandemic means. If it's a global event and they will call it a pandemic, it's not going to go away in a few months. So pushing the album to the summer or early fall wouldn't change anything. And we already had 2 singles out. So we came to the conclusion that it's going to be more damage for the album if we pull the handbrake. Now, label did really good job. They were really flexible. We were changing the schedules of the 2 latest singles almost daily, trying to monitor the situation and seeing what will happen and what will not. And so they were really working extra hours to make things work as best as it could. So I think that was a good test. But not just the label. There was agency, management, everybody was in the same chaos. And none of those companies and people working for the band or around the band, none of them added the stress. Everybody was working just to make things as good as possible. So I think that is a good test also. You really see your friends from the enemies when things get fucked up.
Tuomas, talking about this great album, Wolves of Karelia, this was also the first album without longtime guitarist Mike Lamasari. And having Vagelis Karzis, this ex-live Rotten Christ guitarist, on board. What happened to Mike and how you got Vagelis on board?
First of all, Mike is one of my all-time favorite guitar players. I thought that already before I even asked him to join in the debut album. But sometimes life takes people in different directions. He got some family. There was issues with work at his hometown. The company he was working for went into bankruptcy. So he was forced to have another job, go to school at at the same time raising a child, providing for the family. So that is a really complicated situation if you want to be part of a touring band. So all the tours basically after the Constellation of the Blacklight we did with different session guitar players. But then we decided like it's easier for both us and him to just part ways. There was nothing negative between us at the moment, but it was just getting really frustrating for each one of us. And he wouldn't be able to tour, even if the world would be normal, because he needs to finish the school and he has different priorities, which we naturally respect totally. Family always should come first. Bands will come and go, but if you have a family, that's probably going to be your only family in your lifetime. It's a different dedication. We did understand that. And Vagelis, it's a funny story. I've been touring with Warning Christ before, but they had different guys as the session guys at that time. And we were playing in same festival in Germany. I just wanted to go and see how the new guys actually performing, because I got to know the previous guitar player pretty well, and I did even a lot of the pre-production of the Shadow Studio. So I have a lot of connections with the ex-musicians of Warning Christ. And one of them did recordings for us, and one of them is our guitar player. But yeah, I went to see the gig. Immediately I thought, that is the coolest guy I've ever seen on stage. I've seen hundreds of guys playing on stage. That is the best one. And I asked if he would be available for some session when we played our first North American tour. But that schedule was overlapping with Warning Christ, but we continued talking. Again, sometimes you get the situation where the world is really small. And I was talking to the tour manager of the North American tour, a sound guy from Athens. And he does Nile, he does Karak Angren, he used to do Warning Christ, Septic Flesh. I just mentioned that in the conversation that I was trying to ask this one guy from Athens to play guitar for the tour. And he asked a name, and they happen to be really good friends, and they play in the same band. Complete random incident. And then of course he got really excited, you definitely should get him to play with your band. And when the next opportunity came, we had the tour in Europe. We had the same tour manager, and he just made it happen. Sometimes you're just in the right place at the right time, meet random people that are connected with other people, and that's how we got Vagelis into the band. We were super lucky to actually meet him and get to play with us. He brings different energy. Scandinavian energy is very cold and powerful, and when you have the Greek energy that is very fiery and warm, that makes a really good combination.
Tuomas, following the 2020 release Wolf of Karelia, Finnish death metal unit WOLFHEART continue their heroic battle with the band new School Soldier EP out March 5th, 2021, which include 2 frostbitten new singles and 2 special rarities. An official video was released January 20 for the song School Soldier featuring Petro Solvi. On March 20, you guys have released a band playthrough for the single Hereditary. And yes, please, if you don't mind, could you please describe us this new EP, please?
Again, this is a product of these weird times. We were supposed to be touring very heavily. Everything got cancelled, and then in the end of the summer, the label was asking, would we be interested in doing something special just to keep things moving on? And of course, we had all the time in our hands. So going back to studio, working with new music was basically the best thing that could have happened. Keep the band active, keep us creative, and we wanted to make this like a short sequel for the Wolves of Karelia. So Skull Soldiers follows the same theme of the winter war between Finland and the Soviet Union. A little bit weird concept for me because I've always done full albums. There's 40 to 50 minutes of music where you paint the whole story you want to tell, and you have different type of music that you can do the combination of the album. EP is a different thing. It's so much shorter, so much more compact, but it did allow us to experiment things that we probably wouldn't do otherwise, and that's the result of the acoustic version of Ian of Cold, where our bass player is doing all clean vocals. That is something we've never done before, go full acoustic and fully with the clean vocals. So it kind of like opened up many doors, and it was super interesting to get to do. I think last year would have been completely horrible if the label wouldn't have suggested the EP, because that was one of the highlights for us as a band to be able to work that quickly again with the new music.
Thank you for the description, Tuomas. For those that did not buy the album as yet, Tuomas, in how many formats have you and the label made this available? I'm talking about the EP now.
It's only like digital and silver limited edition vinyl. I think it's really cool. The CD as an EP format is very complicated because it's so small profit for the label. So I understand that it doesn't really make sense for them to do that. But if they would have only been interested of doing digital release, I don't think I would have been too happy, because I'm born in the early 80s. Release has to be a physical. You need to have something that you can hold in your hands. It's not a release if it's only digital files that you can buy on iTunes or listen to Spotify. There has to be something that if fans want, they can go and buy, holding their hands, look at the text, look at the art. So one of the things I really like to work with Napalm is they are big enough label to be able to provide these special things like previous albums. We have the different color vinyls, so they are able to provide like a variety of different products for each release. But
I also believe what you just said, that yes, I need to have the physical copy of the album in my hand, not just by downloading. I don't feel for that.
I do understand that times are changing and the direction where the music business is going. Every year is going to be more into like the streaming services, and Spotify and places like that will have a bigger role. I'm not going to get any younger. I'm still going to be from the 80s the rest of my life. I will always value the physical product of the release. So especially as a songwriter, I think it would feel really wrong to have a music out that is only digital, because the cover art, the booklet, everything is part of the album. It's not the same if it's only files that you can download or listen.
Tuomas, both, I'm talking about the 2020 full-length album and the 2021 EP, was both recorded at Deep Noise Studio with Saku Morlainen, who we had this great chance to interview last year for Red Moon Architect. Produced by you and Saku, mix and master by Juho Rahainen at Sound Spiral Studio. Was this your first work with Saku at Deep Noise Studio and with Juho at Sound Spiral Studio for both albums, Tuomas?
Actually, I've been working with both guys a long time. Juho actually was the longest time guitar player in Before the Dawn. We played together almost 10 years in Before the Dawn, and Juho did record the first Dawn of Solace album. He recorded and mixed all Black Sun Ian albums, and I've been also working with Saku, I think, 7 years now. He's been doing some recordings for the past 3 WOLFHEART albums, and he did record and mix the Dawn of Solace album. Both of them are really like a good and old friends of mine, so like it's not just professional connection that I have with both. I really enjoy making the music with them because we kind of like talk the same language now. We've been working long enough that we understand really like where we are heading and what we want to do. And Saku is also, we already actually recorded and mixed the next Dawn of SOLACE album with Saku, and that is probably going to be out this October. And yeah, he's an insanely good songwriter himself with Red Moon Architect. It's very pleasant to work with both sound engineers, and I think it's a perfect combination that I'm not going to change for at least for a while now.
I had this great opportunity to interview the band Ionian Sorrow as well. This Greek lady, Gorgo Meloni, which Saku was working to with them.
Gorgo Meloni, yeah, I know them. Again, it's a small world. Gorgo Meloni did actually some cover artwork for us, and the growling vocalist of that band was the singer of Final Harvest,
Alejandro Lotero from Colombia, but they never meet with the band.
Yeah, because that's the thing with the internet, because everybody can work with everybody, because when it comes to just sending digital files.
Phil did the second album, the EP.
Yeah.
Going back to the interview, talking about good recording means talking about good instruments. Are you still endorsed by Exterminator guitars?
Yes, I am. I was searching for a new custom shop for years, but I never found the perfect one. But this one is, I thought I had the best guitar with the amphi sound that was my previous one, but this exceeded all my expectations. So there's no reason to change the company now unless something happens to the company. But they have my full loyalty now because they make the best guitars.
Seeing that this EP is a second album released via Napalm Records, this great Austrian label, and I'd like to say hello to Natalie Camilo for this great interview. Thomas, how do you feel that the support, the collaboration between you and the label are going so far?
It's been going well. Again, it wasn't like a complete new thing because Sebastian from the label that was in charge of signing us started emailing me after the second album came out. And he's been checking from me every half a year. What is the situation? They would like to sign the band, keep me informed. So we started talking with the Napalm like a few years before we were even able to do the contract. So I already knew that the label is very heavily interested of the band because they were like going after us for so long. We did got offers from other labels too, even bigger ones, but I felt that they really wanted to work for us and with us. And I think that is a lot more important than the size of the label. The people in the label actually want to work with you and they're dedicated to do the work. So I have had my share of bad contracts and bad labels. So I know the difference sadly too well, but this is a cooperation definitely.
I believe now you're at home, now you at the right address, now you with the right people.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, talking about, as you were saying, tours that has been cancelled, among them North American tour devastation on the nation with Rotten Christ, Wagner, Gal and Abigail, and seeing that the restriction throughout Europe are still on. The band's Wolf's Karelia's across Europe tour 2021 have already been cancelled as well. What are the future plans for the bands in promotion of the new albums? Let me say the new albums, talking about both albums, 2020 and the 2021, Thomas.
I think this might sound very blunt, but we already lost the Wolves of Karelia in a way. Of course, the music will stay. We're going to play some of the songs when we get to go back to touring, but it's a year-old album now. It doesn't make any sense to promote that album anymore. We already started writing new songs for the next album and starting to talk about the schedules of the recordings. It's pretty clear that this year there's not going to be any tours, at least for us, because the whole Europe is still a huge mess. No guarantees what the situation in the North America is going to be after the summer. So this year we're going to focus on writing new music, bringing more like footage in social media for the fans, playthrough videos, and more like this kind of interaction with the fans, because now we have the time. And when it comes to the Wolves of Karelia, that album is already too old. There was certain damage done for the album with the pandemic that we can't fix. As a band, we also need to focus on the new stuff. Otherwise, it gets too frustrating just to sit at home and wait things to get better. We need something new to keep us active and motivated.
Looking the positive way, Thomas, seeing that the vaccination is already going on very strong in different part of the world. I mean, Europe is not the exception. Finland, neither. Are you guys planning to still do something in promotion once again of this album, Wolves of Karelia, seeing that festivals or shows at least can go on for the end of the year? year?
As of now, it looks like we're going to lose at least most of the festivals. They already started canceling festivals in Europe and also in Finland from June, but it's going to be pretty probable at least July is going to be cancelled still. Maybe we get to play some festivals in August, but no certainty at all.
Cross a finger.
Yeah. In theory, we could play some club shows in Finland in winter. I think it's better just to clear the calendar for this year and just focus on the music, because otherwise we've been doing this back and forth guessing game for a year now. So now it started to look really like worrying for the whole metal scene in Finland. It's more and more venues are going into bankruptcy. We just lost one of the coolest venues in the middle part of Finland just 2 days ago, and we played with WOLFHEART there at least 6 times. With each album release, that city and venue was part of the tour. So honestly, we don't know how many venues do we have in the winter. It's very uncertain times, and I think it's easier for us not to make too much of a plans now and focus more on the music. Then we come back to the live gigs when everything is more certain. And
Tuomas, I want to thank you very much for having made this interview possible. I want to hand you over the microphone of Metal Messiah Radio for you to invite all your friends, all your fans to support the band, to buy the band's previous album, and to make sure to rush to buy this great new EP as well. And I wish you all the best for this coming days, for you, for your loved ones, for the band. Please say hello to all the members of the band. I'm talking about Joonas, Lauri, and Vagelis. Before we leave, yes, I hope this COVID will be over. As I was saying, about the vaccination, I'm sure that in Finland, these are going on the right direction as well. And I've been to Finland before, I forget this, different times. I was in Turku, Helsinki, Jyväskylä, and Tampere. Very beautiful places. Finland is a very beautiful country. The Finnish people are very friendly and warm. I felt so great being there, especially spending time at festivals like Tuska Open Air. I enjoy so much. Yes, I hope that I can meet you guys on the road.
Eventually it will happen. Eventually we will, as soon as possible. Maybe this year is going to be complicated, but I'm sure it's going to be normal enough for bands to be touring normal again.
Tuomas, once again, the microphone of Metal Messiah Radio, it's all yours to thank whomever you want to thank.
I want to thank all the listeners of Metal Messiah Radio International. Go and check the new EP. I think it's pretty much sold out already, but at least it's available still in the digital platforms and Spotify with our previous album. So go and check it out.
Tuomas, once again, I wish you all the best for the band. I wish you all the best with this great new EP called Soldier. Yes, what else can I say? As I always say, metal on. Bye-bye.
Bye.